Hello everyone! Hope you're having a wonderful day today. So with this video, I wanted to have it as a discussion video and a little bit of an explanation video. I've kind of done this a little bit before, but I think this video does have a good purpose as an update and just general discussion whether or not it would change anything in the Beyblade Burst series, and it's the topic of Shu Kurenai and Beyblade Burst GT. So I did do a video a while back basically titled Shu is not in Beyblade Burst GT explained. Now a lot of people were confused and whatever, either they didn't watch the video or didn't even bother to listen, and there's a little bit of like this delusion that like Shu is somehow going to come in last second with Lord Spriggan in GT. That is not the case, and the reason why it's not the case is for the simple reason on the packaging they always show whoever owns the bay. In this case, Dread Bahamut, it was Blind, whatever, owns Dread Bahamut. With Lord Spriggan, there is no owner. It's not Shu Kurenai. Nobody owns Lord Spriggan. It's not a new person. It is not the original person who has owned Spriggan. So that right there is just like, if you don't know if it is or if it isn't, it's 100% that it isn't. And there was a lot of sort of hints in a way that Shu wasn't going to even own it, as I'm sure I've showed it in the original video and mentioned it so many times, but the actual voice actor for Shu Kurenai, the Japanese voice actor, right, basically just said, you know, thanks to everybody for all the support, for all the Beyblade, for all the years, whatever, and that was the tweet that was made. Now, makes sense all those months before, considering when we got to that Spriggan release, there was nobody owning it. Now, there's no Lord Spriggan in the manga. This isn't like Spriggan's a manga thing only within GT. Now, before we continue with that, I just want to go over something. There has been a case in the past, many cases, where there has been releases for products that have come out, but haven't actually had an official owner for it. Now, an example can be with Ken and Zack. So I'm sure I don't know if I saw Zack in Beyblade Burst God / Evolution, I don't remember. I do know for sure Ken was in Beyblade Burst God, but Zeus and Kirbyus were there, but they weren't even actually like there. Like they just made the physical bays. Like Galaxy Zeus was there. We didn't see Zack battling with Galaxy Zeus. We didn't see Ken battling with Guardian Kirby's base, whatever, right? We didn't see that. They just made the bays. Why do they make the bays? Well, I don't know. An evolution to a bay that people, you know, remember instead of making a new bay, I guess. You know, makes a little bit of sense. Like, oh, we're gonna evolve Zeus and Kirbyus, or we're gonna evolve Spriggan to this new series. And we're gonna do an evolution, and people are gonna like it because it's the previous bay that they know about, right? There's no other connection to that. And there's been other cases too, like Orichalcom hasn't had an actual owner, to my memory. I'm maybe thinking maybe there was a promotional chapter in the manga. I don't think there's anything official for it, but no like true owner. Like what I mean by a true owner, I mean like a literal person that actually owns the bay, not like somebody stole the bay like Count Nightfill. Nothing like that. Exceed Evil Eye or Evil Pero, whatever name you want me to use, didn't have an owner. Minoboros didn't have an owner. Poison Hydra. Sometimes they just make bays with no owners, and that's just something, you know, you gotta like process and understand. Now, in the topic of Shu Kurenai, Shu has definitely had a lot of shine. He had 3 seasons in total he was in, and I think like a cameo in 1 episode in GT. Shu is an awesome blader. You know, Shu's probably one of my favorites out of all the main cast for Beyblade Burst. He was really cool in the first season. In the second season, he was Red Eye. He went through all of this development. And then after, he moved on to Train. And then after, in Beyblade Burst Turbo / Cho Z, you know, Shu was kind of there. And, you know, he was still like, he kind of was there. He didn't really do too much. But, you know, he still was actually there. He helped Iger / Iger train. And he tried to stop Phi. He lost, but he still tried to stop Phi, right? And similar to this video that I did before with Free, the main cast of Beyblade Burst, like, they still exist in that universe. It's not like when we move on to GT, it's something else. in the Free de La Hoya video, Free is at BC Seoul. He's just not doing anything. He's not like battling any of the GT Bladers or whatever, right? And the characters exist, they just don't do anything. Now, the real question that I have too is sort of, would Shu's appearance change anything in the grand scheme of things? So, if we think about this with GT, as I'm sure it is a little bit early to have this sort of discussion with it, but I do not think Shu would have really changed anything in GT. Would have been cool to see Shu in GT. Obviously, it would be cool to see any previous Blader return to that season. However, when you look at a character like Volt, who was also in GT, Volt has literally, like, to my memory, has done maybe 2 battles, which was against 3 if you count the first episode, which was against Dante/Drum, and against Amane or Armin, whatever, right? After that, he maybe does like a cameo a little bit later on, but he's done nothing. And this is Volt. Not even the fact that they did the Valkyrie evolution and it's in the show, but Volt does not appear at all or do anything. In both cases, as well in the manga too. So, if they're not even able to utilize the previous cast, there's no real point to having anyone from before. Because if Burst can't do it in a way where they can have characters that existed before actually do something and actually be written in a way where it makes sense and it's actually cool, then there's no purpose. Not even just the fact that it doesn't serve any purpose to the story, but it's just gonna really be sort of like whack. Like, I know a lot of people didn't even like Cho-Z because Shu didn't do anything. Imagine if it was in GT where Shu probably, even if Shu got maybe 1 episode, he probably wouldn't do that much. And it's one of those things where, you know, we gotta accept it. You know, Shu is a powerful blader, he's an awesome blader, and I do like Shu as a character, but with how Burst is handled, it doesn't really work in the format compared to, let's say, like the first generation, how they would handle characters, and the Metal Fight generation, how they handled characters. I think, since I personally know Metal Fight a lot more, Metal Fight does a better job with handling characters that they pre-established from before. I mean, to be fair to Metal Fight, you know, they only really changed the cast in 0G, and Burst did it like twice now with Cho-Z and GT. But, you know, still, I think a big issue with Burst is that it's not really able to utilize their cast in a way where it's good for the story. What I mean by that is, like, it's just not written properly. They can't, like, it's either, I don't know if it's just to blame the actual, like, if Hiro Morita just can't really find a way to sort of write it in a way where he's able to have these pre-existing characters. Actually, no. In the manga's case, he does actually do it. In the manga's case, he at least has a little cameo, and the characters are actually there. Fan service or not, at least we get that. But the anime does kind of suck for one thing, because it doesn't have that, like, it doesn't have that world building like the manga has. Like, actually, to be fair to the manga, I even believe, to my memory, I even saw Louis, I believe, in some of the later chapters, even after his defeat against, when he lost Tiger. So, in a way, I feel this is, in a way, maybe like the anime's fault also for kind of how they've been writing this stuff. Not really the manga. The manga show hasn't appeared at all. Like, in the manga, I think it's only Rantaro, Silas, maybe Kuza and Boa, and Free. And obviously, Chris. But that's it. So, with Shu, I don't think it would have made any difference. Like, look at the Apocalypse arc, because with the Apocalypse arc, Volt didn't even appear. Okay, Volt appeared, but like last minute, right? A guy who was destroying base, or he was upset at 5-4, but wasn't upset with Arthur, or even intervened or helped Drum train or anything like that. Like, it's weird. And also, look at how they handled Iger in GT. I can't really say too much on the manga side, because I haven't really been able to read the manga, because the distribution for the manga is really whack. But for the anime, Iger doesn't even get, like, a proper treatment for himself. And this was a character that was in the previous season, right? It's not even like it was 2 seasons ago. This was, like, right before he was, like, the main character. Like, he hosted his own little championship thing, and I guess that was cool. But He battled against Amane and won, okay. He battled against Drum, and they kind of had a cool battle. He went up against Delta, which was interrupted, so we couldn't even see the fullest potential between a blader like Delta, who's super strong and who's very strategic, go up against Iger, and was interrupted by Arthur. He lost to Arthur, and it's sort of like, I don't think Burst is able to treat their characters right in a way where they can bring them back and actually have them do something good and continue to have them do something good, if that makes any sense. Which is just a general criticism. So, with what happened to Shu, to answer it, Shu exists, but even if Shu had Lord Spriggan, even if it was in GT, I don't think he'd be able to be utilized in the story properly for it to even work well. And that's really just a criticism I have just for Burst in general. Like, it's really weird because you would at least expect, like, the characters in the world would at least have to react to some big events. Like, it's fine if, like, for like the Iger Championship, Shu doesn't need to appear, but like for the Apocalypse thing, maybe they could have just had one part where Shu's reacting to it, like similar to Cho-Z, right? Like Cho-Z didn't do that bad of a job of handling their characters, except maybe Louis, and even like I would say even like Coco for an example. But you know, it's really awkward, to be honest, with the whole situation. I wish we had this thing where, you know, like maybe like Zack and Ken actually had the base and they did something, or even if they didn't do like some main stuff, even if they just had one battle and etc. You know, we have all these bays, but they're not utilized right. But that's how I want to end it off. You know, do you think they could have introduced Shu and done him justice? Because in my own opinion, they didn't do Iger justice, really. They didn't really do him that justice. They did Volt, like, no justice at all. And Volt's like the main character from Season 1, from Season 2. And he's like he was a very prominent character, and he doesn't do anything. So, in the comments below, let me know your thoughts. Personally, how I would have wanted it to be is that for Shu, if, let's say, Lord Spriggan, the owner, was actually Shu Kurenai, what I would have wanted is that during the Apocalypse arc, even if Shu didn't challenge Apocalypse, what if he helped, I don't know, maybe Drum/Dante actually make Imperial Dragon, similar to how he helped Iger, even though he didn't technically make the system of the Bay that has, like, the electronic driver or whatever. Or maybe he just helped Drum train. Maybe like Shu Kurenai pays a visit, or maybe she was in the area and Drum challenges him, or Dante challenges him, whatever. Or maybe he helps Delta, or something like that. Something that would just make a little bit of sense. And I know what people will say. It's fan service. Yes, there are two types of fan service that can happen. You can have bad fan service, where they'll have something, and it's poorly done, to where it's like, oh, it's just fan service. And they can have another thing where it's fan service, but it's done right. It's not just like, it's really just straightforward what I'm saying, but I am still upset that Shu does not own Lord Spriggan. I joke around, but it's still upsetting does not even own the Bay at all. Now, I just want to say it like this. The only other way, like I said last time, that Shu could be in GT is maybe in the manga for a cameo. He was on a flashback. He had like a small little cameo when Iger was like reflecting on himself and how he learned. But I could only maybe see Shu in the manga, maybe, I don't know. It's really weird. I do wish, like I said, Burst was able to do a little bit of a better job. But, you know, it is what it is. Again, I want to leave this discussion on the table. And, you know, in the comment section, even if Shu's not going to be in GT, you know, maybe write a comment about how you would want Shu to be introduced in GT, and how maybe Shu has Lord Spriggan. And what combo would you have Shu? In my own opinion, I don't think Blitz and Dimension Dash would make sense for Shu. Like, you could maybe keep Blitz, but maybe just give him like maybe like a different Zeta Dash, or maybe even a new driver. Like maybe Shu would have, since this driver was made, maybe it would have been like Shu would have had Lord Spriggan, Blitz, Unite Dash, or something like that, or Merge Dash. I don't know. I'm just rambling on at this point, but thank you all for watching and have a wonderful and amazing day.